We are met together, and in meeting we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest. We are met together, and in meeting we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest. We are met together, and in meeting we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest. Hold on, dear brother. Hold on, dear sister. Hold on. Hold on to me. Hold on to me. Hold on to me. We are blessed together, and in meeting we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest. You're not alone. You're not alone. Oh, and you never more will be. I will be with you, and I will carry you with me. Friendship endures. Friendship endures, and surely we will prove it's not ourselves, but our bodies that move. We are met together, in meeting we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest. We are met together, and in meeting we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest. Hold on, dear brother. Hold on, dear sister. Hold on. Hold on to me. Hold on to me. Hold on to me.
Good morning and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Priya Charya, your service associate for today. My pronouns are she, her. I'm joined today by our minister, Reverend Barbara Koeman, leading our service today. Today's music is provided by our chamber choir, assisted by Paul Finkel, percussion, Jeremy Dion, guitar, and Carmen Sandem, piano. Today's tech team is Deborah Mensch, Paula Zimmerman, and Karen Griglak. As I say the welcome words today, I invite you to really take in these welcome words and imagine how it might change the way you interact with people you are getting to know, or remind you to think about how you interact with those you've known forever. You are welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways you experience gender, in the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and the places you are from, with all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here. No matter how long you are away, nor how soon you will return, whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with a curious mind, a loving heart, and willing spirit. We welcome you today. We acknowledge that the land surrounding us is the stolen territory of the Arapaho people, and that many native peoples roamed freely on this land for millennia before the arrival of white settlers. If you're new here, we are glad you found us and hope that in this community, whether you're with us in person or virtually, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in the chat to help you get connected. Those in person can stop by the welcome table in the foyer for fellowship information and our newcomer form. It's also on the QR code in the back of the hymnal. If you would like to view a simple order of service for today's service on your phone, please scan the QR code on our screens now, or click on the link in the Zoom chat. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay for casual conversation following the service. If you are here in person today, you are welcome to coffee hour in the fellowship hall. If you're joining us on Zoom, please feel free to greet each other in the Zoom chat. And if you're a newcomer, let us know so we can greet you. We love to know who is among us. Those of you in the sanctuary, please take a moment to greet your neighbor. If you have a chalice at home, you can light it with us as Reverend Barbara lights our fellowship chalice. Please say the words along with me. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action.
Of the second bowl, calling us yet deeper into meditation, spirituality, and being together in community. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you this morning. I am Reverend Barbara. My pronouns are she, her. I am the grateful minister of this congregation. It's good to see everyone this morning. Listen to these words to call us into worship. This morning, we gather together to worship as a community of all ages. Let us take a moment to look around at those of us sharing this sacred space. Look around. Look around, yes. Let us recognize the hearts of our whole community, from our elders to our youngest and all ages in between. Let us embody the beauty of this whole church community, even when there might be a few more wiggles and giggles and chatter depending on who's in the room. Let us remind ourselves to listen carefully, calming our bodies and our minds. Begin by breathing peace and joy into this sacred space with 3 breaths. Let's do that. 3 deep breaths at your pace. My friends, know that you are surrounded by the love of this community where all are welcome. Come, my friends, let us worship together this morning and be glad. And now it's time for you to make some music. Our opening hymn in the gray hymnal, which for newcomers should be somewhere around your seats on the bottom of the chair in front of you. Our opening hymn is number 298, which calls us to pay attention to senses, reason, and in particular the 5th verse, the subject of our service today, ministry. Please rise in body or spirit for hymn 298.
Turning to one another, by Margaret Wheatley. There is no power greater than a community discovering what it cares about. Ask, what's possible, not what's wrong? Keep asking. Notice what you care about. Assume that many others share our dreams. Be brave enough to start a conversation that matters. Talk to people you know. Talk to people you don't know. Talk to people you never talk to. Be intrigued by the differences you hear. Expect to be surprised. Treasure curiosity more than certainty. Invite in everybody who cares to work on what's possible. Acknowledge that everyone is an expert about something. Know that creative solutions come from new connections. Remember, you don't fear people whose story you know. Real listening always brings people closer together. Trust that meaningful conversations can change your world. Rely on human goodness. Stay together.
And now, my friends, it's time for the sharing of the personal, in this room and online. If you're online and would like to voice a joy or a concern, type it into the chat. Here in the room, I invite you to come forward as our usual procedure. Come forward, create a line here to the table. Priya has the mic. She will hand you the mic. Remember to speak directly into the mic. And this is not a time for political announcements or other kinds of advertisements. This is a time for the sharing of you. Who are you and who are you bringing into the room with you this morning? I invite you to come forward for the sharing of joys and concerns. Thank you. May we add one additional stone for the unspoken joys and concerns that may be deep within our hearts that we're not even realizing have come to the surface yet. My friends, may we come together in some moments of prayer, meditation, and intentional focus as we offer our gratitudes as well as our concerns to Great Spirit. We are grateful for being here in community, sharing together, being together through the joys and the sorrows, through the challenges, through the celebrations. In this community, we can find hands to hold us, as well as offer our hands and our hearts and our being to those around us. For those sorrows, we continue to send support for those in hospice and in other medical conditions. for the passing of relatives and friends, for the continuing and ongoing cleanup from hurricanes, not only in North Carolina, but also in Florida, for the illness of a daughter, for the feeling of aloneness, for the aloneness of divorce. And while we realize the sorrows, we are also grateful for the joys. Fall weather, faithful caregivers, a silent retreat, coupled with children on vacation, artistic production, getting ready for a crop walk, ongoing study, and perhaps most of all, motorcycles. Great Spirit, help us go yet more deeply into that still small space within, listening to the joys, the concerns, the connections that lie very deeply in our hearts. Let us take a moment of silence, connected through the silence, feeling the spirit of those around us and online and in the wider world who we might be thinking about this morning. Let us be joined through the silence. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you to continue your meditation if you wish, or to join in singing our pastoral hymn. It's number 123 if you wish to refer to the hymnal. Spirit of Life, please remain in your seats. And blessed be.
Each week we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for the Crop Hunger Walk, which for 55 years has addressed the hunger crisis in Boulder County and in more than 500 communities across the U.S. The funds will provide life-saving support, including emergency food and resources, along with the seeds, tools, and programs that will help families feed themselves in the future. Our fellowship has participated in the Boulder County Crop Hunger Walk for 26 years. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you are at the fellowship today, place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously, as you so often do.
For the work and witness of this congregation, as well as the Crop Hunger Walk, your gifts are gratefully received. So once again, good morning. In case you're just joining in, I'm Reverend Barbara. My pronouns are she and her. I'm the grateful minister of this congregation. I'd like to start with a reading about ministry, which is the theme of this service. One of my most favorite readings about ministry by the Reverend Gordon McKeeman, served in Akron, Ohio, among other congregations. Here's what he wrote about anyone's ministry. Ministry is a quality of relationship between and among human beings that beckons forth hidden possibilities. It is inviting people into deeper, more constant, more reverent relationship with the world and one another. Ministry is carrying forward a long heritage of hope and liberation that has dignified and informed the human venture over many centuries. It is being present with others in their terrors and torments, in their grief and pain, knowing that those feelings are our feelings too. Ministry is celebrating the triumphs of the human spirit, the miracles of birth and life, the wonders of devotion and sacrifice. It is witnessing to life-enhancing values, speaking truth to power, standing for human dignity and equity, for compassion and for aspiration. Ministry is believing in life in the presence of death, struggling for human responsibility against principalities and powers in institutions and structures that ignore humanness and become instruments of death. It is all these and much, much more than all of them, present in the wordless, the unspoken, the ineffable. It is speaking and living the highest we know, and living with the knowledge that it is never as deep, as wide, or as high as we wish. Wherever there is a meeting that summons us to our better selves, where our lostness is found, our fragments reunited, our wounds begin healing, our spines straighten, and our muscles grow strong for the talk, there is ministry. Some inspiration from Reverend Gordon McKeeman. So through all this getting acquainted during interim ministry time, I've been offering a series of 3 what I call grounding themes in sermons. To date, we've considered 2 of these: the meaning and practice of spirituality, and then the practice of covenant, which is central to liberal religion. Covenant, our religion being defined by deeds, not creeds. So today I want to bring you the 3rd grounding, that of shared ministry. These 3 concepts create a foundation for building healthy communities and for defining congregational identity, especially important during interim time. I refer to shared ministry often because it's important during an interim period. And I know that this congregation is well versed and is understanding the definition of shared ministry. But let's consider it together today. For one, to confirm all the more our understanding of the concept, And for 2, perhaps I'll offer some insights into the history and the meaning of shared ministry, which are new to you. So I once heard a story about a visitor from outer space who landed in a town that looked pretty much like Lafayette, Colorado, that is. Yeah. I'm surprised how often, since I've moved here, I get Lafayette, Louisiana on my searching. But yes, Lafayette, Colorado. The visitor wanted to learn more about how townsfolk create community together. Visiting a school, the visitor saw not only that there was a teacher at the head of the room, but a number of small groups of students around the large classroom helping one another. The visitor smiled. Then they went on to a community theater, where a director was offering instruction to some actors for a play. And off in a corner were a group of actors helping themselves with one another learn their lines. The visitor smiled. Finally, on a Sunday morning, the visitor stepped into a church and saw someone called the minister up front getting ready to lead a worship service, but also saw several other folks getting the room ready, preparing their parts, practicing their music. The visitor smiled as that visitor saw how a healthy community or a system thrives on the contributions of many, collaborating together, supporting the work of the person officially identified as in charge, the director, the teacher, the minister. How do you relate to the visitor's experience? If that visitor walked into this sanctuary, how would that visitor see shared ministry, shared leadership? How have you experienced shared ministry here today so far? Look around, folks. Where do you see ministers in this room? Look around. And on the chat, folks, look around. Scroll through your screen. Where do you see ministers? As in the story, many people right here are sharing the ministry right now. So let's explore shared ministry a bit more today, starting by reviewing the meaning of ministry more generally. The root of the word ministry means service in various contexts. When we say we minister to one another, we offer service to one another. In Unitarian Universalism, many people, both lay and ordained, offer ministry because the approach to organization and governance in this liberal religion is based on congregational polity. That is, it takes many hands to run a congregation that is congregational. As expressed by the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association, ministry happens whenever individuals, clergy, and laity embrace the belief that their good works, their volunteerism, can serve the mission and the vision of the congregation. I'm so moved by that description of ministry I just read by the Reverend McKeeman. Perhaps you are too. His words support this notion of service to others. He describes ministry as a relationship which beckons forth hidden possibilities in others, calling people to their better selves through uniting fragments and healing wounds. Ministry is not a list of tasks. A minister is not only a service provider. Ministry instead is a mindset, a calling to touch each other's lives and bring about transformation. Maybe small sometimes maybe great. Ministry indeed illustrates that we need one another. The motto of the UU Ministers Association. Ministry is indeed sacred work. And I finally had the chance yesterday to be with about 20 colleagues in the UU Ministers Association in person at a conference in Fort Collins. And indeed, we do so need one another. I need my colleagues embodied, present. It was such a pleasure to be with them yesterday. I want to suggest that reviewing the history of ordained ministry can help us understand how we got to shared ministry as central to Unitarian Universalism. Over the centuries, religious leaders known as ministers have been called out from their communities. That's the meaning of ordained. They are called out after completing particular training and personal discernment. Perhaps you have attended ministerial ordinations. That is that ritual which makes someone officially defined in their role as minister. In hierarchical religions such as Catholicism, the higher the ordained minister sits in the pecking order, supposedly the closer that person is to God, or so the theory goes. Liberal religion, organized by congregational polity, has a much more egalitarian organization. Ordained ministers are more of the people. No advantage seat close to God. Liberal religion, it's much more lateral than the top-down approach in Catholicism. And if you attend General Assembly and are remembering the service of the living tradition, that service when we recognize ministerial advancement and ministerial accomplishments, these days we are calling out from the congregation those who are entering ministerial fellowship to symbolize this congregational organization that we are. We are called out from the audience or the congregation. So for centuries, Unitarians and Universalists have ordained ministers. That is, they've set aside certain of them as leaders. In the early days, one became a minister largely through mentoring, through trial and error, rather than through structured programs of study. Hardly much more than preaching was expected of early ministers. On Sunday mornings, or whenever the minister happened to pass through town, literally sometimes on horseback. In many cases, ministry was not that weighty a job, but then the pay wasn't that great either. Literally, sometimes a chicken in a pot as pay. Now, please don't get any ideas about changing my contract with you. Later this year, or sometime in the coming months, I will tell you about the first Universalist woman ordained to ministry. Her name was Lydia Jenkins. She was ordained in 1860, and she somehow got dropped from our history books. And I'm in the process of bringing her story back to life. So at some point, you'll learn more about Lydia, remembering the forgotten women. Yeah. Go, girl. Through the years, the categories of Unitarian Universalist minister have expanded significantly from those of those origins as minister, primarily as preacher. These days, we have ministers of religious education, pastoral care, social justice outreach, music, and much more. And UUs have been in the forefront in promoting ministry for previously marginalized identities, such as women or BIPOC or GBLTQIA+. Additionally, community ministry is growing by leaps and bounds, ministries such as in hospitals. Currently, the majority of candidates coming to the Ministerial Fellowship Committee, that is the review board for ministry, sort of like a PhD exam or a master's exam in academia. These days, a majority of folks coming to that exam are pursuing ministries outside the parish setting, in hospitals, prisons, entrepreneurial projects, and much more. That is to say, ministry has been rapidly changing. Indeed, qualifications for ordained ministry are evolving. By now, the UUA requires training in interpersonal relationships, church administration, anti-oppression and anti-racism, and much more. And the modes of ministry are expanding. During the pandemic, for example, we realized so many new possibilities for online outreach. Now, please understand, no ordained minister can be all things to all people. Scholars are pretty sure that Jesus did not walk on water, and I assure you, UU ministers don't either. We strive to respond to the current needs of any given ministry, but no minister is perfect. No minister is all things to all people, and no minister ever totally fulfills all the hopes and dreams that we invest in our calling. I do sincerely tell you, however, that my UU minister colleagues strive to do the best they can to serve those who they are called to. So no surprise that candidates for ordained ministry are pushed and prodded from so many sides to define their call to ministry. That's why I chose our opening hymn, 298, Wake Now My Senses. Wake now my senses of ministry clear. The final verse speaks so strongly to the call to ministry. No wonder this hymn is sung at many ordination services, including my own in 2005 in Austin, Texas. Ministry is indeed sacred work. This is why it's important to have covenantal conversations at the start of new ministries about our shared ministries together. That is, our mutual expectations of one another. So here, mark your calendars. You have gotten some information. You'll be getting more. On the weekend of November 1st and 2nd, we will have a startup workshop. A session for the entire congregation will be Saturday morning, November 2nd. This is when we have that covenantal conversation about how we will be together. The transition team is doing just a fantastic job of helping to organize this retreat, which will be led by Reverend Summer Albiati, our primary contact. So from ordained ministry, how did we get to the concept of shared ministry? Shared ministry is fairly new vocabulary, but in many congregations, in many denominations, the concept has been around for a long time, in some cases for centuries. Shared ministry represents more a shift in words than a shift in activities. The work of shared ministry used to be more generally referred to as volunteering. In Unitarian Universalist circles, the phrase shared ministry came in common use in the second half of the 20th century, especially promoted by various women's circles, such as the UU Women's Federation, it being the women who traditionally had done the bulk of the largely unacknowledged volunteering. UU women wanted to acknowledge the important work of laity, both women and men. So calling this shared ministry rather than volunteering changed the concept. Think about your experiences volunteering in this congregation or in others, or in other organizations you're part of. Thinking of your contributions as ministry really can change the spirit of how you give time and talent. How shared ministry is realized varies from congregation to congregation. But by now it's common vocabulary, not only among Unitarian and Universalists. It happens through many different types of connections as congregants work together on projects. You can name so many shared ministry projects in this congregation, in social justice, or in worship, or in caring, or in music, and on and on and on. Shared ministry also happens when staff collaborate together in service to the congregation. I'm grateful for the shared ministries with my colleagues here on this staff. And shared ministry happens when congregants and staff support one another, such as the minister and the worship associates in collaboration for worship services, or the minister and the caring committee working together, visiting shut-ins. So in some ways, it seems like shared ministry is just what you do when you go to a UU congregation. It's compatible with the values of free faith. Its partnership model matches well with congregational polity, the method of organization and governance in this denomination. Power with one another, not power over. Power distributed among the many. Acknowledging the gifts, the contributions, the skills. Shared ministry is also in tune with the democratic mindset on which liberal religion was founded. And during this interim period, I invite you to assess also the role of the professional clergy in your shared ministry in this congregation. This will be one of the ongoing questions you'll be called to discern. I've experienced many positive results when a congregation practices. Practically speaking, a shared ministry mindset eases the load on professional staff. When congregants believe in their own capacity to carry out a job, responsibilities are distributed. Shared ministry opens doors for creative ideas from the many. More creativity among the many, less burnout of the few. In shared ministry, we can also change up roles. Any of us, including the minister and the staff, can sometimes be a leader, and we are happy sometimes to be followers. I promise you, it's nice sometimes to be following the lead of someone else. All too often, I hear congregants express an overload of volunteering responsibilities at church as burnout. That sense of being spent is regrettable. For church is supposed to be where we come to renew. To go away charred and crispy just doesn't make sense. Shared ministry can forestall burnout by encouraging us to ward off individualism and even isolationism that we can easily fall into, thinking we can do everything ourselves. So can you see how shared ministry is not only about getting the job done? Regarding what you do when you come to church as ministry changes the spirit of your contributions, from drudge work, perhaps, to spiritual practice. We feel less task-oriented, more gift-centered, less about a job, more about relationship. Shared ministry also helps us shift from needs-centered with a consumerist mindset to mission-centered, serving principles, not personalities. Shared ministry creates powerful relationships. When we see others through the lenses of their ministries, aren't we more likely to say thank you? For worship leadership, or music leadership, or making coffee, or organizing the closets, or moving the chairs. Shared ministry strengthens connections and builds the community. So I trust you are seeing the connections of my three grounding themes. Shared ministry develops easily when we're in covenant, in promises for how we create community. Covenants build trust as we declare how we will carry out our intentions to the best of our ability. Covenants are not rules or policies, instead they're heart-based agreements. Practicing shared ministry in covenant with one another becomes a spiritual practice, helping us explore intimate and ultimate questions of life. When we practice shared ministry, we experience service to that which is greater than any individual. We are in service to the mission of the congregation and to liberal religion. So, my friends, let's reflect one more time. Look around the room. Go on, look around the room. Look around in the chat. Where do you see ministers this morning? Look to your right. Look to your left. Look behind you. Look in front of you. If you're seeing someone offering shared ministry or has this morning, how about after the service you go up and show your appreciation for their ministry? Oh yes, I forgot one. Look at one more minister. Look at yourself. I hope you are seeing a minister. Whether you're a newcomer or an old-timer, and I'll let you define the difference. If you were not here today, this would be a different community. Your being here matters. To recall words from our reading, My hope for this congregation is that for all our ministries, they may continue to open up hidden possibilities so that sharing through shared ministry enhances the spiritual journey for each of us. Sharing is good for the world. In the words of my colleague, the Reverend Richard Gilbert, let us celebrate what we share. We are, my friends, after all, in this together. May this be so.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
And now, my friends, I invite you to reach out to the person, to the soul, to the spirit near you, through hands, through arms, through connections, into the Zoom community, and into the wider world that so desperately needs our energies right now. For those of you who have come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those of you who have come here seeking life, may life return your affection. For those of you who have come here seeking a better way, may that way be found and the courage to take it step by step. When you leave here this morning, my friends, go in peace. When you return to this sacred space, return in love and in hope and in sharing. Amen. Salam. Shalom. Namaste. Blessed be. I invite you to resume your seats for announcements while I make my way to the doorway.
These are the announcements. Join the Crop Hunger Walk on October 20th at Cairn Christian Church in Lafayette to raise funds for life-saving food support. Please consider joining our team. It's an excellent event for the entire family. If you are unable to join our team, please donate on our team website. And we have an announcement from the board. Representatives from the board, the Committee on Shared Ministries, and the Leadership Development Committee will be on hand during coffee hour today to entertain your questions, comments, and suggestions. Look for them at a table on the stage in Fellowship Hall immediately following the service. The Fall Inquiry series continues today. The Inquirer series is a set of informal small group gatherings for visitors and members who would like to know more about various aspects of the fellowship. Today, our topic will be UU history, and Reverend Barbara will be with us. If you'd like to participate, feel free to grab a cup of coffee in the fellowship hall and join our discussion circle at the front of the sanctuary at 11:30 a.m. We'll conclude at 12:15 p.m. Next week at this time, we'll have a discussion of getting connected and community building groups.
We have one more song that we would love to sing for you. Is that okay? Good answer, because we're going to do it anyway. This is a beautiful song about shared ministry, holding each other to the light, especially through tough times.
So the song was written during the pandemic. Take a moment and remember what it felt like when we didn't know what ministry was going to look like in the future. And remember that uncertainty and that fear? This songwriter wrote this song in the midst of that, a beautiful song about what ministry could look like.
Give up on you, don't give up on me. I won't give up on all that seems so out of reach. I believe in love, I believe in you. We'll hold each other to the light, and we will see this through. As the sun rises, so will love. Voices are rising, so will love. We will never give up. Never give up. We will overcome. We will remember everything that was gone. We believe in love. We believe in truth. We'll hold each other to the light, and we will see this through. Given the chance, our love will come. Given the chance, our love will come. Given the chance, our love will come. Given the chance. I believe in forgiveness, and I won't stop giving.